Hello, everybody. I'm Kara Vandas, and this is my colleague.
I'm Dani Andrus.
And today we're going to be talking about learning menus, which is something that Dani's been working on with her district. I work as an author and consultant with their district, and Dani is one of the instructional coaches, an all-around superstar. And so she has been working on these learning menus in this time of remote learning to help with just how do we create instructional designs that help work for kids and families and that are actually doable. And so I'm going to let her kind of take us through a few that she has worked on with her folks and just kind of talk about how she's using them to have meaningful discussions, both with their teachers, but also teachers to students. So Dani, you want to get us started?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so as we looked at and knew we were going to be teaching remotely, we really wanted to keep that visible learning going. We, have a lot of it going in our classroom, and we wanted that to transition over. So while kids are at home, they've still got that choice and that voice and some independence in their learning. And so as a team, we've looked at creating some choice menus that kids could work through with parents at home. So I will share a couple that we've got going. So this menu, we really wanted to put those priority standards that we're working on in our district that we wanted kids to make sure that they've got solid with as they come to school, come back to school, come to school next year, whatever we're looking at right now, we're not sure. But this choice menu gives some students the opportunity to show their learning in different ways, and asking students in the instructions to complete 3 of the squares and showing their work. And parents then are able to kind of check in and see how they're doing with that. Another choice menu that was interesting, very cool, that was created by our specialists, our music and PE teachers, and they collaborated on this, keeping in mind that we are focusing on our learner dispositions. Powers is the word that we've assigned to those different dispositions, and giving, again, those students the choice of what kind of activities that they would like to do while still participating in that learning experience.
That's awesome. So for us that aren't part of the school, can you let us know, like P, I would assume stands for perseverance, but what are some of the other dispositions that your school adheres to, just so people can get an idea of what the POWERS stands for?
Yeah, so P is perseverance. The O is ownership of our learning. W is wonder. E is engagement. R is resilience. And S is solver of problems. Awesome. And so within those, as I said, they've got different activities underneath each of those dispositions to show that for P, for perseverance, well, I can jump rope or even use an invisible rope, pretending jump roping for 3 minutes. So we're really trying to also take into consideration with this remote learning that kids may not have all of the supplies or materials that they would have at school, but that we still can make that work.
Yeah. So fun.
Yeah. And so you had, well, let's look at a 4th grade.
Okay.
Really quick. A 4th grade ELA example, again, just different activities that kids can do to show their learning. We talked as a team about if you're going to choose to use this when you come back to your classroom, you can adjust your depths of knowledge type activities
Mhm.
and maybe have some kids do 4 corners, other kids,
Yeah.
do 2 of the 3. So there's a lot of flexibility in how these can be used.
So I love that you just mentioned that these could be used not only in this time of remote learning, but are you guys thinking about then transitioning to using them in the classroom to add a little bit more choice and voice for students as you come back, when you come
Yes,
back?
absolutely. That's exactly what I'm hearing from teachers that they're working on right now, is how these can be used in different ways in their classrooms for next year.
Well, and I love that, like on the first one you shared, it was really aligned to your priority standards. And I know that you guys have been working on, yeah, thank you,
Mhm.
on developing learning intention success criteria. So I assume teachers are also really trying to align all of those pieces. Is that something you guys have talked about as well?
We've absolutely talked about that. Those are kind of our next steps. And actually, I've got a couple of teachers right now that are working on that success criteria to
Cool.
hopefully get out to parents with the boards that they're creating coming up for the following
Yeah.
weeks.
I love
Yeah,
that because I think it will help parents understand, like, okay, this is what we're learning and this is how you can be successful. And so pick some of these activities, or there might be other things that parents can reinforce or even know about. And I know I was talking to another coach the other day, and he was talking about even just giving parents little kind of ideas of what to talk to kids about while they're reading, and just a little
right.
menu of things like questions to ask before, questions to ask during and after, just really simple things, but things that moms and dads who don't have an education background might not know that are good to ask, but
Right.
also would be totally willing if they knew, oh, I should ask them to make some predictions when we first start looking at a book. That would be really helpful. Or I should stop and ask them some questions about what's going on in the book and what they wonder and what would might come next and all of those kinds of things.
Absolutely. I think that that does give those parents, some of that power
Yeah,
to be involved, and I think that they appreciate being able to help in that way. And then having that strong partnership between school and home is so important, and
absolutely.
this helps bridge that.
Absolutely. And I think we're gonna have a potential of getting to know families so much better.
Mm.
Um, now, even though we don't get to see them very much, but unless it's virtually, but really having them as our partners is really what's going on. And I
Mhm.
love the way that these menus are allowing for our partners at home, both students and parents, to have some choices in the way that this works for them, depending on what their family needs and their situation is. I love it.
Right. And I also feel that, as we're calling and checking in with
Yeah,
parents, um, it gives parents something to talk about, and really, have those conversations with
yeah.
teachers and explaining where maybe the struggles are, where the celebrations are. Um, so I completely agree.
Yeah, and I think that makes a check-in so much more powerful because it's not just, did you get assignment 1 done? Did you get assignment 2 done? Did you get assignment 3 done?
Right.
But it's more about like, what did you choose and what's working and what didn't work and what questions do you have and how can we better support you? I mean, that's like you said, that's such a better conversation. Love it.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you also have been using these menus as a coach, and I'd
Mhm.
love to have you also share that idea of how you're using menus with your teachers to model this practice as well, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, what I sent out a survey to teachers, basically asking them during this time what types of professional development would they be interested in as they're expanding their practice, their learning. And so from that survey, keeping in mind our district model, our district vision, um, I was able to pull some activities for them, and this is an example of the current week that we're just finishing. Some different activities that they can participate in um, for their own professional learning. And then what happens is So next week's menu, it'll be a living document. I'll just add it basically to the top of this document. So they still have the opportunity to revisit the April 13th through April 17th menu, and then have a new set of activities, materials, resources that they can access again to further their own learning.
Yeah. And you base this off the survey they gave you of like things they'd like to know more about, right?
I did keep our West Data School District instructional model in the center there, because I want that, you know, to continue focused on what we're working on as a system, as a district, but then have some flexibility on what I see from the survey results.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So in both of these things that you've been doing, Dani, what do you feel like is the response from teachers, both the learning menus for kids, but also like having a learning menu themselves? What have you noticed?
I've noticed that teachers, I got a lot of feedback right after I presented this idea. Great questions from teachers. They seemed excited.
That's awesome.
A lot that have been shared with me. Great ideas. Our Title I teacher has created a menu. As I shared, our PE and library and music, they're involved in a menu. So we're seeing it system-wide in our school, and it's great.
That's amazing, because you, if I remember it, you just created a PD about using menus as an option, did that, and then the response was super positive from students or from teachers about their students.
Awesome. And we haven't gotten the feedback yet from parents and teachers, or parents, excuse me, and students, because those just went out in this week's learning resources. And so as teachers begin touching base next week, we'll get some feedback on how that's going. And I got an email just this morning from a teacher saying, we're starting to work on our ELA choice menus. So, you know, and as I said, talking about next year and how to really use it for our students to show different ways of learning, differentiation. It's just exciting.
That is exciting. And I also love that you guys are asking feedback to the parents and the students, because I think that's huge in this time. Like, none of us have done this virtual learning on the fly. You know, you find out one week you're in school, the next week you're out. You know, none of us have done this really in this kind of way to transition like that. And so I think the feedback loop is going to be hugely important. And so I really appreciate that you all are asking for that feedback and saying basically, hey, we're trying this, we're seeing how it works, but we're happy to make adjustments for families. Let us know if this is working for you. That's powerful, because they are our partners, you know. That's amazing. Last question I will ask you is kind of what's next for you as a coach, in terms of what do you feel like the next layer is for you with this work?
With this work, I feel it's developing the success criteria. With these, helping teachers, working with teachers, and getting that really in place. So, you know, the menus have that component attached to it. So I think that's where we're going. I feel that the majority of teachers have jumped in and are excited about this. And as I said, I know some teachers are already working on success criteria. So I just want to further support that and, you know, get them going.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. I'm so glad you shared this idea, and I hope everybody out there in the world of education appreciates what you guys are doing, because I think it's a really thoughtful approach to this time of virtual learning, or whatever we want to call it.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you, Dani.
Yes, thank you.